Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about TTRPGs. First up for TTRPG, I have the Last Blessing mug that I talked about in the pilot. This is from my party in our final game that we wrapped up our long campaign, and inside of it, I have the Last Blessing tea that they made for me. It's a custom blend of lemon and gunpowder green. It's very, very good. But we're not here to talk about tea today. Instead, we are here to kick off Season 5 proper now. We're going to be talking about some different games as we go through here. And this first week, of course, the most requested game by a long shot from anybody. When I asked the question of what do you want to see or have me try and help you learn how to play, Pathfinder. Pathfinder, 2nd edition. So we're going to go ahead, and today we're going to be hitting some of the broad strokes of Pathfinder here, and we will be getting a little bit more into it as we go forward. This series, as it goes on here every single week, might be kind of short in terms of episode length. Normally we try and shoot between 15 and 20. We might be a little bit shorter than that on some of these, just because I want to keep it broken out and get you the same content in each one of the weeks. But let's go ahead and let's take a quick little look-see in at what we can expect with Pathfinder. So today, like I said, is going to be the introduction to this game. So first and foremost, what is Pathfinder? For anybody that doesn't know, maybe you're looking and you are not trying to escape Dungeons and Dragons for one reason or another. Maybe you are just looking to pick up Pathfinder because you heard it was a cool game. Pathfinder is a high fantasy tabletop role-playing game. Similar to Dungeons and Dragons. It is actually probably the most direct competitor to it, the most direct sort of corollary to it, because it was spawned from 3.5 originally, and now the 2nd edition that came out back in, I believe, 2018, might have been 2019. I don't have the date in front of me, and I am forgetting right now. The 2nd edition pulls away from the D&D mold a little bit more, officially letting go of the OGL that allowed Pathfinder to start in the first place, and having its own full set of core rules. So, Pathfinder, the 2nd edition of a almost auxiliary role-playing game, but that has come into its own in a big bad way. I mean, look at the size of this book. This thing is not messing around. And don't let that book size intimidate you. I promise it is not as bad as it seems. Next up, how many players do you need to play the game? This is sort of in the realm of just sort of like introducing everybody to the game. How many players do you need to play the game? You need a minimum of 2 people, and you can have basically as many as you would like, but it's similar to Dungeons and Dragons if you're familiar with that. Your sweet spot is going to be between 4 people total and 6 people total, where you will have a game master and you will have a party of 3 to 5. That is really going to be where you sit the nicest with this game, just because it is easier to balance around. Everybody gets their time in the spotlight, and you can sort of create this adventure together where everybody is getting to actually interact with it in a way that is meaningful to them and their character. What roles do those players fill? Like I mentioned, you have a game master, the person who sits behind the screen. Again, if you aren't unfamiliar, there are game master screens that just sort of have cheat sheet information, sort of help hide some of the things from the players so that they don't know what's going on quite so much. Somebody who sits behind the screen and helps facilitate the game. They play the NPCs, they play everything in the world, including the world itself, with the exception of the main characters of the story themselves, the player characters. Those are what the players play. They come in with these really well fleshed out, really well developed characters. They sit down and they are the ones that get to interact with the world that the Game Master is putting up for them. How hard is this game to play? On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say that this game is probably about an 8 out of 10 to learn how to play. That said, don't let that scare you. D&D 5th edition also ranks at about an 8, maybe a 7, maybe 7.5. They are comparable difficulty levels. It is not something that is going to be insanely difficult to pick up necessarily, but it is complicated. And I mean, it has 600 some odd pages in it for a reason. There are a lot of rules that you have to deal with, but don't let that scare you away. It is not something that is going to be aggressively terrible to try and learn how to do. I have not actually gotten to play Pathfinder yet, but I read the rules and I absorbed a lot of it. So I feel pretty good about it overall. I'm obviously going to get some things wrong here because I haven't gotten to experience them, but for the most part, you should not be concerning yourself too terribly with, oh god, how am I going to actually teach myself how to play this game? Find somebody who knows what they're doing already. Use some of the online resources. There are plenty of them. You'll be a-okay. Now, where can you find the rules to play this game? This game, in its entirety, pretty much, maybe entirely, period, but almost definitely all of it, is free online somewhere. You can go out and you can buy these big old books. I really like having hard copies. I don't read online quite as well, so I love having a good hard copy. But the rules for Pathfinder are available online for free. They are not locked behind some kind of paywall anywhere. We'll talk later on in the week about some resources that have that information online for you. But you can just search Pathfinder Core Rulebook PDF and you will be able to find one. I know that there's one on AnyFlip that a lot of people use. That is the one where you can just sort of flip through all the different pages for it. It is an accessible game in that regard. It might not be super accessible from the density of it, but it is very accessible in regard to it being literally free if you will put in the cursory Google search to find it. It doesn't take a whole lot, and you can find it. Now, if you're looking to actually purchase books and things like that, I will tell you that this book was $60. It is the big hardcover copy. You can get a small, about that big, about 2/3 of the size, all the same content, but 2/3 the actual physical footprint size softcover book for about $25. That is the pocket edition, and a lot of their books have the pocket edition as well as the big old hardcover one. I personally love a good hardcover, and I knew that I was going to be kind of abusing this for at least a couple of weeks here while I tried to learn how this whole thing works, and so I figured it was probably better for me to go ahead and get the hardcover copy from the get-go. But that's just me. Like I said, you could spend half as much as you would on a new D&D book to get the core rulebook for Pathfinder and all of the auxiliary books that you want. And that's only if you want the hard copies. If you are perfectly happy with the free stuff online, that is it for you. There you go. Is there a quick start for this game? There is actually a quick start. I think it is called a starting box or a player box or something like that, that you can order if you want to. Comes with dice and adventures, quick rules, similar to the Essentials kit or the starter set from Wizards of the Coast for Dungeons & Dragons. Same concept here. You can go ahead and you can get that, and it will just sort of introduce you to the game, how it works, set you up to be able to play with some pre-generated characters right away off the bat. Pretty sure it comes with pre-gen characters. Don't know for sure. I would assume that it does. I don't know why it wouldn't. So you are more than welcome to go ahead and pick that up. It's not particularly expensive. It gives you everything you need to do or to get rolling, and from there you can decide whether or not you actually like the game and want to continue playing it. So that is always a good thing as well. The last big question I want to hit on today is, how well does my 5e knowledge actually transfer to this game? Because, like I said, most of the people that this is sort of targeted at, realistically, are the people who are coming over from 5th edition because of whatever Wizards of the Coast has done. Maybe you are looking for a more expanded option than 5th edition is actually giving you. Whatever the reason, I can tell you from the get-go, if you know 5e, if you know how to play 5e, if you are familiar with it, if you feel good about it, this game, you are 85% of the way there already. I swear to God, you are 85% of the way there. There are some things you need to learn, but for the most part, you are set with this already. I opened this, and I think I made it to page 35 or 40 before a really new piece of information came my way. And I started at the beginning, because I wasn't sure if they were going to just come out the gate swinging with a bunch of stuff that I wasn't going to understand, and I was going to have to start from the very beginning. And so I started with the what is a tabletop role-playing game section of this book. And you know what? I knew what that was. But I made it all the way up to probably Ancestries and even a little way into Ancestries before I was really sort of hit with like oh, that is new information for me. So I would argue that 85% of the information that you have in your brain about 5th edition can apply to stuff here, specifically about how it works and how the mechanics of it all go. But you are looking at a really, really good jumping off point. So when I said earlier that this is probably an 8 out of 10 difficulty level to actually learn how to play, and 5th edition was the same probably, just know that if you have the 5th edition mindset already, we're looking more at like a 2, probably. Maybe a 3, because quite frankly, while yes, there's a lot of pages in here, and you know, that was stupid, there we go. There's a lot of pages in here, and we are looking at a whole slew of new things coming your way. It's not so new that you can't figure it out. It's nothing that is so insanely difficult that you're not going to be able to sort it and get yourself ready to go. So that is the intro to Pathfinder real quick here. I am excited to get to go into this a little bit deeper with you guys and talk a little bit more about what you can do with it, what you are able to actually like get out of it. I know that today, this episode feels a little weird just because I answered a couple of questions that maybe people had, but for the most part, I rehashed sort of what we know about Pathfinder already, like fantasy role-playing game, that kind of thing. But moving forward with other games, that is going to be a more useful section, I promise. So stick with me on this one. Tomorrow we are going to be talking about some of the major things that you need to actually know in order to play this game, which means that we're going to be hitting on some of the key differences between it and 5th edition. So if that is something you are interested in, please make sure you check back tomorrow so you can go ahead and see what I believe, at least, the biggest key differences between this game and 5th edition are, because there are quite a few of them, but none that are just oppressively difficult to get through. As I mentioned in the pilot, I will not be doing shows per day as we go through here, but please enjoy whatever tabletop role-playing game streams you are enjoying right now, shows, streams, whatever they are, because it is a lot of fun to get to watch some other people experiment with this sort of thing, and see if you can find a Pathfinder one. I know that there are several of them out there, but see if you find one that works well for you. So, with all that said, everyone, don't forget, drink tea, play TTRPGs, and keep on rolling.